I think Marine Le Pen is going to win. I think she'll be the next president of France.
No way.
Way. And I'll tell you why. Let's assume that the left tears itself apart and doesn't become a factor in these elections, doesn't make it into the second round. So it's Marine Le Pen up against François Fillon. Everybody has essentially moved to the right on questions of identity, immigration, these issues. There's not a lot of air between them. Where there's a big difference between them is Fillon's support for getting rid of 500,000 public employees, lowering taxes, pushing through policies that are, as he likes to say, Thatcherite policies. Whereas Marine Le Pen is saying the state should take care of you. We need to use our resources better. We could, in crunch, we could even have fixed prices for bread and flour and basic things. Now, this is maybe crazy economics, but it's the kind of economics that's going to speak to a lot of people. Fillon's won't. And I think, in fact, the election will be decided on those economic programs, and I think Fillon will lose.
Someone was telling me something a few days ago about that, what you're saying. They told me that, ironically, Marine Le Pen was having the most socialist program.
Nationalist socialist.
Nationalist socialist, yes, exactly.
In the next election, so that's just crazy.
Yes, still, I wonder. I mean, at this point, people who look at the percentages saying that it's going to be 66 to 34 for Fillon in the second round. The French, election, if this was an election German style, the one with the biggest share of percentage in the first round would win. But in France, only the top two people from the first round will make it to the next. And then, of course, facing Marine Le Pen and the danger of an extreme right-wing president, I think most, or at least enough left-wing citizens of France will decide to vote against, will rally behind Fillon.
People are replaying the 2002 model when her father, who was a crypto-fascist who basically moved into the world, played with anti-Semitism, played with racism, was generally loathed by a large part of the population who didn't want to play those games. He got into the second round somehow, and then he was crushed.
Yeah.
But Marine is not her father. She's a hell of a lot smarter politician, and she has a much better record.
Stéphane talked earlier about to be president of France, a normal president is one who's got the regalian trimmings of a monarch. Certainly, Fillon looks the part more than Marine Le Pen.
Well, yeah, he looks like an aristocratic Catholic.
That's what he is.
He looks like. If that's what you want, then maybe he'll be the next president. But the truth is, I don't think that's what the French want.
But don't you think there's also, speaking to Stéphane's point, enough anxiety about what happens when the far right comes to power or could come to power in a country in Europe that could now try to galvanize in that way? I mean, don't you think that
I mean, here's the problem. The things that she's running on, if it's true that you can tap into anger, which it seems to be quite true in lots of places around the world, then those are her issues. She's tapping into anger against globalization, anger against Europe. She hates Europe. Anger against the euro, anger against loss of national sovereignty, anger against the sense that your culture is being taken away from you, anger, multiculturalism. She's tapped into all that anger, and she's done it very, very effectively.
You're absolutely right, but we also had the example of the Brexit, where, it was a reaction of...
Well, yeah, we do.
That supports that.
And now people might have second thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on whether the tides can shift a little. It's true that we see with the election of Trump and Brexit that the anti-globalization sentiment was captured by the right. I mean, the Seattle demonstrations in 1999 are kind of a long way away, and now the right has kind of captured anti-globalization, whatever that means, momentum. So maybe history is on her side, but I also think that now there's just this sense after Trump of people mobilizing and to kind of oppose forces like that. We don't know.
And fear of the unknown. What about fear of the unknown? For instance, pensioners who think, wow, if we leave the euro now, what's that going to involve?
Well, these are issues that clearly Fillon will try to to
the MEDEF, the Business Leaders Association, has voiced its preoccupation about the program of Marine Le Pen.
But that works to her advantage. Who's she running against? She's running against MEDEF. It's the socialist part of what she's doing. I'm not telling you I'm going to vote for Marine Le Pen, but I think that people are making very serious misjudgments if they just take it for granted that she's not going to win the second round. I think she can win the second round.